How y'all doing, and welcome back to another Bubby Golf video. We are out here today on the range at the Tribute Golf Course. We are not going on the course today. Today I'm going to learn something very important in the game of golf, and that is how to practice properly. Now, to teach me that, I'm joined by Scott Fawcett. How you doing, my man?
Perfect.
Good
How
to see you, brother. I appreciate you for joining me. He's the owner and founder of Decade Golf. Not only that, he's letting us live in his house. I'm sure you have seen the Good house tour, the new house myself, Garrett and Jackson are living in. Thank you for that, but not just that. I mean, you've worked with some of the biggest names of golf. You've worked with some very accomplished professionals.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like to apply some of that to me. And Scott seriously thinks you could get me to scratch. I'm sitting at a 4.4
There's no doubt
right now.
about it. I mean, it's just a matter of finding time for you to do a little bit of actual work and practice, which is why, you know, everyone, like myself even included, I'm an amateur golfer, 51. I just played in the Senior US Open, but it's about maximizing your practice time and being as efficient as we can, because we're all busy, unfortunately, these days. So that's what we're gonna try to figure out here is what actually is valuable in practice, how do you get better, and then what are the main things to focus on to take that out to the course and score better.
I love that, because I can be wholeheartedly honest with you. Outside of like chipping and pitch shots for the past like 3 or 4 months, definitely haven't like really actually practiced. I mean, like I said, I'm a baseball player who plays golf. I go out there and kind of hit it, and just by golfing so much through Good, I think that's kind of how my game's progressed. It kind of has been my practice per se, but it's not the same. So
well, there's only so good you can get if you're just playing. Again, most people that want to get better actually need to play more golf. They just get to where they're practicing too much, but if all you're doing is playing, well, you're also not going to get better like you need to from practice.
Exactly. And I think the thing is, for me, like, I guess I'm just going to throw it out there how I kind of learned. So my pitching and chipping the past like 3 months, 4 months, and you can even see it too, Trace. And I saw a lot of comments on the Good Hazeltine Major, has improved immensely.
Nice.
I was just at Blue Jack National one night, and me and Steve were on a team for the whole week. And in my mind, it clicked kind of like baseball. It's like, I got a teammate now. I kind of got to show up. It's not just me. So I went out for 3 or 4 hours, and in my mind, I just tried to replicate what Scotty Scheffler did with his pitch shots, kind of hands outside and just feeling that. You know, the difference in the world when I actually tried to practice.
Yeah,
so.
and also just kind of being an athlete, like sometimes getting out of your own way and just reacting to the target. Yeah, you got to get good mechanics. But again, I don't teach mechanics, so what we're going to do entirely here is just the structure of practice and how to be as efficient as possible.
Scott's kind of going to be the conductor of this video. I'm going to listen to him and do what he tells me to do when it comes out here at the range. So where should I start?
Well, I mean, but first and foremost, we're going to have a target. Let's get a club down.
This is something I haven't done in years.
Yep. We're going to use your shaft here. So again, one of the main things, you'll get a lot of different debate amongst instructors, against really good big name instructors too, about this idea of block versus random practice. And block is hitting the exact same club at the exact same target with the exact same shape over and over and over again. And a lot of instructors have taken some research and studies from other genres and tried to apply it to golf and said, oh, you got to randomize your targets, your clubs, constantly changing. And golf is the only sport in the world where you're not looking at the target when you're actually performing the motion. So many other sports are just so much more reactionary, where just because we've evolved at throwing rocks at things in order to stay alive, we're really good at that. But now all of a sudden we've got to be in golf, we've got to be oriented to the ball. So if I step in here, you've got path in golf. So your path is kind of what helps predict what shape you're going to hit. And if you're moving the ball forward and backwards unintentionally, you're actually shifting your path. So sometimes if you hit kind of a big hook, that ball might have just been a little bit further back in your stance than you intended. And so now the path is more to the right, which causes that ball to start hooking. So I am a huge proponent of, we've got to have a club down, because we want to be training our body to see the target and having everything aligned correctly. And again, this is like pre-shot routine type stuff. I've done this a million times. So when I'm walking into the ball, I'm going to have, you know, a spot in front of the ball. I'm going to get my club in there and get it squared, and then I'm squaring my body. But like, I'm never going to accidentally be aiming 20 yards off.
Yes.
And that's something that, again, to go from a 4 to a scratch, we want to just make our setup and our relationship to the ball and target just as perfect as you possibly can. I mean, when you see these guys that I've worked with, like Zalatoris and DeChambeau and whoever, they're just not going to make that mistake ever.
Exactly.
So first of all, we're going to start off, we'll just have you aiming at that white thing down there, that white dot, whatever you want to call it. And I always just kind of close one eye, hold this back here, and we want to kind of just have this slightly left of the target. And again, some people stand open to it and hit kind of a block cut. Some people stand a little closed and hit a pull. I don't know what you'll do.
So if I was hitting an 8-iron, this is about my 190 club. So just say wind, we're at sea level. I have a 190 shot with an 8-iron. My alignment is gonna be 25 to 30 yards right.
Okay.
And I'm gonna kind of hit that here, pull, and try and draw it in there.
Well, let's watch you hit one without this down for starters at the white. We're gonna call that target.
Oh my goodness. We'll get loose.
That's okay. It's funny, like I would start with like just hitting some little 50-yard pitch shots and slowly work your way up. Again, not saying you want to be a tour player here, but you're wanting to get better.
Yes, sir.
Every single player on tour is going to start with some more just casual pitches.
Okay.
Grab your 60 and just hit some pitches here for starters.
So you're already fixing things. Oh my, brought my A game today, Scott.
It's quite all right, man.
There we go.
Do you draw or fade your driver?
Fading it recently, that's what it would be. It's weird, I like draw everything else, and driver I've been trying to hit a fade.
Again, that's not weird. That's what some people ask me, like, is that okay? Now, if you think about your iron, we're hitting down on the ball, it's further back in your stance, so even with the same swing, that's going to tend to produce a draw. The driver now, it's teed up, it's up in your stance, so path is starting to exit left. The larger modern drivers, the further the center of mass is off the shaft, the more that club actually wants to fade.
Yes.
So now we've got everything working for fade. So I mean, back when Tiger's in his heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's basically what people have told me he did. Draw his irons, fade his driver. Okay. So that's totally fine.
You're saying I'm like Tiger.
Huh?
You're saying I'm like Tiger. Yeah. Stick or new club?
No, because now I want to actually start looking at your feet and your alignment and seeing where you actually are relative to the target first. So now the next thing that I'm kind of looking for, and the reason that I like block practice, is we only have 2 pieces of data now, but both of those have been about 10 or 15 yards left of your target.
Yes.
Now, if you keep on hitting balls, and that's where you keep on centering your shot pattern, then I would actually tell you to stand more closed than you are. Like, there's no reason to, like, part of proper strategy is being able to center your shot pattern over your intended target. People be like all the time, like, well, I've missed 80% of the time left. I'm like, well, then you're just not very good at aiming. I mean, that's part of the whole deal here. That's part of the reason that we'll get this down in just a second. So hit just a few more and...
Over that white target, aim a little more right?
No, just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
I mean, again, now we're just getting information. You haven't hit one right of the white thing yet.
Yes.
You've now hit 5 or 6 shots, and they've been anywhere from, let's say, 30 yards left of it to 5 yards left of it.
Yes.
And so what we really want to start doing is seeing how wide your shot pattern is, because then that's from a strategy standpoint where you're going to be able to start really committing to targets from 190, most likely the center of the green quite often, but then really trusting that your shot pattern has variance to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what actually will start hitting the ball close for you. It's more an accident, to be perfectly honest.
That was my best swing of the day. That was nice.
Probably hard or weird for you is I want you to stand close to it. I mean, again, I want you to pretend almost that it's not there.
Okay, so stand how I would
Stand how
on a
you would
golf
hand.
course.
Like, again, this is where I think a lot of people do things wrong, is they'll like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be standing parallel to this. Like, no, if you did that, you would be hitting it over there by the blue target. So stand how you would stand, and I would even say, go a little bit more closed than you think. I mean, there literally was a Corn Ferry player 5 or 6 years ago that got off to a pretty good start. He had like a couple thirds and a couple 4th place finishes. And then he was struggling in the summer, and he called me. He's like, dude, I'm just hitting everything right. I'm, just struggling. And we went out to Venturi and just watched him hit 20 shots. And he literally is just, he was hitting them all right, but he was hitting them literally all exactly 20 feet right of the target. And I'm like, can you just do this? And he did, and just starts, I mean, as silly as that sounds, here's a guy on the Corn Ferry Tour, like, the advice was just do this, and he literally won the next week.
I feel like
And it's like, you're hitting it, you're hitting it pretty good. You just probably need to work on alignment a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, we'll figure out a little bit more of what you got to do. But I mean, everyone at home,
what's up, guys?
again, the whole
How you
point,
doing?
the whole point and goal of this is to say, we want to get better.
Yes.
And so first and foremost is you've got to have an alignment rod down, just so you can learn what your tendencies are. Because for sure so far, I think you've got a tendency of hitting it left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but not left as in bad, left as in we're just not aiming it correctly.
Okay.
How far would you carry this club?
210, 207, 210 with the 6-iron.
That was what I expected you to answer, because now what we're going to also see, most people when they start getting into that 190 to 220 range, they have clubs that all just kind of go the same distance. So this you said carries 190. Now you,
190.
yeah, now your 6-iron is only 20 yards further, and we've got a 7-iron in between. So like your gaps on your shorter irons, how far do you carry a 60 degree?
I never really hit full swings of 60, but if I was to like put good intent and effort.
What's the next club you would hit then? Like that you do hit full at 56 or something?
58. I'm 16 and 58. But no, if I put a full swing on my 60 degree, I'll get about 115 out of it.
How about your next club after that? Use your 58.
58, I normally get about one. I'll hit a full swing on it, 125, 127.
And then what's your next club from there?
52 degree, which that's about my 138 to like 142 club.
So that's a decent gap. I mean, again, but a lot of people sometimes are like, I'm not a good wedge player. And I'll say, how far does your 3, 4, 5 iron carry? And they'll be like 190, 197, 205. And it's like, let's get rid of one of those.
Another wedge.
Yeah, because then their wedges, they've got like a 30-yard gap in them.
Okay.
But yours, I mean, again, granted, you've got 30 clubs in your bag right now.
Actually, let's count. Let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well these drivers I have in here just because I bring them with. So I don't really even
You
use-
don't really have too many clubs.
No, I maybe got 15. That's only 2-stroke penalty. We can work with that.
4 strokes, you're going to get it in the first 2 holes.
Oh, damn.
But then you're set.
6-iron, same path, kind of over that white?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, because what we're really trying to do here is train your eye as much as anything. So yes, I mean, through the entire bag, I'm going to want you to hit the exact same target.
Okay. Yep. Caught that one a little toey. And that's the one that gets me. That's the biggest miss I have right there. Is when it just, because these are range balls, I mean, they're not gonna go the same, but if that's a real ball, that's just zoom. Just, I never really,
Have you ever gotten a mechanics lesson? Like, do you ever work with anyone on anything?
I do want to get better. I would like to, because when we left the Virginia trip, the last couple days, I was not swinging it well, and it's gotten to the point where like, I'm a 4.4. I expect myself to hit good shots, and it's more so showing up for my teammates. Like when I'm in a video, I want to like help the team, you know?
This is where it's hard, because like, I don't want to talk mechanics, but I see a couple things that are just glaring. We're just talking here, okay? Address this ball. All right. Move that foot. Just get out of the way. I'm going to assume your stance. That ball.
What?
Huh?
Actually.
Yeah, I mean, if I draw a perpendicular line to the target, so now I'm just going perpendicular to it, 90 degrees to it,
It's
you got
that
the
far
ball right here. You're literally having, especially from across the line, you're having to spin out of the way exactly like you're saying and do everything you can to throw it to get it back on line. Again, this is where you're obviously a great athlete, but if we can get you in a more, again, I'm not even going to talk about like, let's work on the swing plane or anything like here. I'm going to get you in a more athletic position to hit the ball. Like your club face is pointed way over there, which is your compensation, because once you get it here, you're having to just spin, which is again why you hit it so far, because you're jumping so hard and getting out of the way from here. But if you, I mean, literally a 6-iron.
I did not know I had the ball that far back in my stance.
Yeah, just
Oh my God. Yo. This almost feels like driver. Like it feels.
But now just try to just relax your brain from feeling uncomfortable. Shuffle around a little bit. Like just get comfortable. But now just be an athlete for a second and just try to hit the ball. This might be terrible. You've got to get into a spot where you're
I had no idea that ball was right here. I felt.
And the club face is just wide open, which all of that is just leading you to having to throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, but I don't want you to get in there just, this is actually good for the practice. What most people do wrong when they're working on something is they're sitting here thinking so much, they'll pull another ball over and they're just standing here thinking. And then they just try to go.
You just want me to react.
I want you to kind of, however you need to like fidget around in here and work. And that's why people are like pressing the ground, weight shifting before they get started. Most players like that aren't good when they're working on something, they're just standing here frozen and thinking. And then they try to be an athlete. Like you would never throw a football like just sitting here.
No.
You kind of be, yeah. I want you to kind of be trying to get ready to throw a football, but I want you to be working on getting in
a comfortable.
I want you to be comfortable in what is probably completely uncomfortable.
That's phenomenal.
It's just, like I say, it's just so funny sitting here because I'm trying to bite my tongue, but I'm like, well, dude, you're not going to be good from where you're standing. Like,
no, the thing is, I would have never known, because you get so used to it, it becomes normal for you. I would have never known that ball was back in my stance like I'm hitting a pitch shot,
and
almost.
That's the point of block practice, is setting up a station like this. I've got you where you're going to be kind of oriented in the same spot. And this is honestly, like, I hate hitting balls off of mats, but it is one thing that's great about hitting balls off of mats is you can set up a little station like this.
So right there.
And again, make sure you're always locking in on the target, being an athlete, and react to the target.
That's so good.
I'm gonna cuss, but what the?
Well,
How's it so simple?
Like when the ball's that far back in your stance, again, now think about it, just for everyone watching at home. So the way ball flight laws work is the club face, where it's pointed, is the vast majority of where the ball starts. So we've got loft, so it's not a perfect one-to-one, but where the club face is pointed is where the ball starts, and your club path, and we can do some good graphics for this, your club path relation to the face is what causes the curve. So if the ball is drawing, first of all, what's funny is if you actually hit a good draw, a perfect draw, the club face should be pointing right of the target, and the path is further right than that,
yes,
by a couple of degrees. Same thing for a fade. You know, when I'm growing up, people are taught like, oh, for a fade, you open the club face. It's like, actually, or for a draw, you close the club face. Like, no, you're hitting it with the opposite of that. It's just the path is more. So now, if you've got the ball as far back as you did, because the swing, if you think of like a hula hoop,
yeah,
if you've got a hula hoop buried in the ground, the further back it is, the more that hula hoop is coming down and out that way still. And the further up the ball is, like with the driver, the more the hula hoop is coming up and left. So, like I was saying earlier, just having different ball positions changes your path. So like if you want to hit a draw, most people like a draw into the wind, they're going to put the ball back in their stance. Yes, that's going to bring the trajectory down, but it also is going to help the path be promoted to the right.
Yes.
Human body is amazing at doing what you ask it to do if you ask it to do the right thing. Keep movement in the body, react to the target.
Cut that. That ball actually cut, which is crazy. I don't think I've seen.
Faded a few yards.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you fade a ball with an iron in a minute.
Nice.
My last little just diatribe on block practice is without this feedback, you would just never know that you've got that ball stuffed back in your stance.
I would have never known. I would have never figured it out because it felt normal to me. I might have finally gotten to a point after a few months where it's like, yo, I need to change something, but...
You would have only gotten that from an instructor.
Yeah.
You would have never seen that on your own.
No.
People at home, do not fill up my inbox. I am not an instructor. I mean...
But like you said...
You're now you've got the club face pointing at the target. I mean, it's so funny because I was like, the last thing I want to do is give you a mechanics lesson, but it's just like so obvious what you're doing.
Well, yeah.
Now we've got everything kind of parallel. So now we've got the swing path where it's just a little bit I mean, just everything's set up to be an athlete.
It's kind of fun now, dude. I ain't never practiced where it's been like, aside from the chipping and pitching at Blue Jack National, I ain't practiced in years where it's been like, okay, I get it. Like, that feels
But
nice.
again, like, there's probably something more mechanical, like what a guy like Cameron or Como would actually tell you to be doing here. But like, I don't have a clue what that is. But like, just getting set up,
Yeah.
like, that's half the battle, man.
That's so nice.
I mean,
That's so nice. Forearm, same thing?
well, we're going to move that a little bit further up in the stance.
Yes.
And you'll probably need to stand a little bit further away from it, so.
That's all right.
Does it feel weird? I mean, like, does it feel okay?
To be honest with you, no. It doesn't feel... There's a level of change and difference, but it's nothing
I can also
massive.
see where it feels better, because it just feels like you can,
It feels like my body can move.
Yes.
Like I'm just out of the way of myself. My body can move.
out of the way is a perfect way of saying it. When you're closed and the ball's back, everything's in the way.
Yeah. Like this just feels
There's
like...
a reason everybody on tour basically addresses it kind of the same.
Yeah, and to me it's like, oh, okay, just swing.
All right. Okay. Which one of these is your driver?
Yeah, not a fun club. Oh my goodness. Now this one feels different. Nice little fade.
How does that feel?
That feels good.
Now I want you to just look at again, kind of look at the target, and what we say is like absorb the target,
Okay.
and then just feel like you're using the club, like you're in baseball, like turning a double play.
Okay.
Feel like you're using the club to turn a double play and throw the ball. What I want everyone to see though is, yes, I've changed something with him mechanically here, but what we're really doing also is just working on ingraining that setup posture. I mean, again, like, I guarantee you, I've done this so many times. So Tiger, Nicklaus, all those guys, I'm gonna have a spot. So like this piece of grass right here is just right of, so if I were on a tee box, I'd be standing here, okay, there's the white flag. I'm just kind of dropping this thing straight down. I would be walking in and I'm visualizing basically this rod shaft right there. So I'm literally visualizing that last piece, and I'm walking in, and now obviously get it out of the way. I'm walking in and I'm squaring my club face to that spot, and then I'm squaring my body. And if there was some way that we could get rid of everything, and then I just walk in with my eyes closed, square my body, like, I guarantee you that right there is within an inch of itself every single time. And that you're only gonna get ingrained by sitting here a million times on the range and walking in, squaring the target, taking your stance. And if you watch Tiger from back in like when he was really running from 98 through 2005 or 6, he had a way that he's standing back here, and even like the way he walked in and his hands came together, like it was literally just identical. I've got a video on the Decade app where I took 9 different swings from the final round of the 2000 US Open. We won by 13 or whatever it was. And I just put them in 9 boxes on the screen to where they're basically like superimposed over each other. And that dude, the way he walks in, he's got a spot, he's got a way that he waggles, he sets it down, he takes another look, and he goes. And it is identical. I mean, it is literally identical every single time. And that's not an accident.
Like you said, just repetition, 100%
It's just not an
practice.
accident. And so, you know, my dad used to always tell me, he's like, oh, you practice way too fast. And I just was always thinking like, well, I want to hit as many balls as I can to get better, but really slowing down in
Having
practice.
intent behind each.
I mean,
repetition.
yes, 100%. Quality over quantity, for sure. That's one thing Como has told me about Tiger, is that he just practiced so slow and so intensely. It's just not a switch that's going to magically flip on when you get out shooting a video in these team events.
Those
Okay,
are all
so-
finding the fairway too.
But so then the next thing that I would tell you and everyone that we also want to make sure we're doing in practice, and I can just kind of eyeball it here, but if we take like, I want to have a 65-yard zone. So, because that's a very consistent number you're going to see in architecture. So even if we use like the tent down there, like, and you would want to do this in the satellites in Google Earth. And then all we want to be doing is trying to center our shot pattern.
Like it's a fairway almost.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
But again, like we're using 65 just because in architecture, you see that width very, very often between like penalty hazards or houses or whatever. Because again, the whole point of this is we want to get materially better at the game.
That's the best drive I've hit yet.
You have a tendency, and I do it too, like I drive the ball really well, to kind of
I like getting off it.
move off of it. But once you
Yeah.
do that, now you're just kind of stuck. And then again, you are used to this pattern from your irons of having to turn and throw. And so once you're too far back, you don't have enough time to recenter. And so I would definitely tell you to lose some of that.
Lose some of that.
Yeah, and just again, what's so interesting, if you watch like Berkshire and all those guys that really hammered, they really are staying like within their hips are staying within the same circle, and then it is coming down and around, but it's not doing it from back here.
It's not getting way up off it.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, this kind of became a mechanical lesson because you saw some things that were blaringly wrong and just
Yeah.
had to fix it. What do they get though? Like, or
Well,
like,
with Decade, I mean, the whole point of Decade is like if you feel like you should have shot lower, you're either not as good as you think you are, or you made mental and strategic mistakes. And so, like, whenever I was playing professionally in my 20s, I would go to Chili's every night with my buddies and laugh about all the dumb stuff I did. We'd all tell these, oh, you won't believe what I did on 6, and we would say the same stories every single night. I think, looking back at it, that I thought I just had to get better physically, and that's when those stupid mistakes would go away. And really, it's not about getting mechanically better. It is about making better decisions. So like what Decade is about is teaching you how to make those decisions. And where this actually kind of dovetails back into the point of the video, Tiger had 5 things that he tracked when he was playing, his best golf. How many bogeys on par 5s, how many doubles, how many 3-putts, how many bogeys with 9-iron or less, and I tell people just to track bogey inside 150. And then what he called blown easy saves, which we just track those as 2 chips. Like, so when did you miss the green on a chip shot? Our bogeys on par 5s and double bogeys are typically off the tee mistakes. So practicing into this 65-yard wide grid, eliminating the double cross, for sure with the driver, you can only hit one shot shape. People used to think, well, you got to be able to hit all the shots. The driver's the only club in the bag, if you've gotten fit for it, it's the only club in the bag that's fit for a shape. You're not hitting draws and fades in a fitting. You're just hitting your stock shot.
Yeah.
So if your stock shot is a fade, let's just make up a number, 2,200 RPM fade, spinning fade. If you try to draw that same club, it's going to be a knuckleball. Like the spin rate's going to drop substantially, and it's just a knuckleball. The flip side of that is if you are fit for a draw and now try to play a fade, it's going to be a spinny flare.
Yeah.
So the driver specifically, you can only hit one shape with it. That is just the biggest fact I can possibly tell you. And again, that's what's going to eliminate, for the most part, the first 2 Tiger 5s, double bogeys and bogeys on par 5s. Then once we start looking at the bogeys inside 150, a lot of that is, yes, going to come from being, better with your wedges, but also not just trying to make birdie with your wedges. Like, par is always a great score.
But yeah, going off what Scott said and everything that Decade Golf offers, the programs, the block practicing, yardage books, and now talking to him, we actually just had a conversation off camera for the past 5 minutes. My stats of like the Tiger's 5 misses, you said. The Tiger 5 mistakes are gonna be on Decade Golf, the app, and you could compare your stats to mine. I'm actually excited for that.
I am too. I think that'd be really cool. Like, I really think that's a cool idea. Like, you guys can get in there and we'll have national worldwide leaderboards of who's leading in these different stats categories. And then what we do with these Tiger 5 stats is we can kind of show you as you improve, like this is the one that's your biggest problem. And then what the Decade app does is it sends you content based on your mistakes that'll kind of help you see what you're doing wrong. So if you're just making a ton of bogeys on par 5s, there's just a number 5 or 10 videos that we've got kind of in a catalog that the engine will just start sending to you every few days. Again, 3 to 5 minute videos, just that way you're kind of like getting some information before you go out and play your next round of golf.
It's gonna be all my break 37s, good majors, everything. We'll figure out what like my Tiger 5 are, how they all work out. Then you guys can see how you stack up to me. I'm sure there's a decent amount of y'all that'll be better than me in those categories. But yeah, The other thing is too, I'm working with Scott now. If you go over to Decade.golf and sign up and use code Bubby, you get 20% off. Now listen, me and Scott, our relationship with the house, all that, these aren't gonna be advertisements for y'all. This is up to you. If you guys wanna go try it out, Decade Golf is available for 20% off using code Bubby. I'm not gonna mention it a whole lot to them. I'm sure they'll see the value in your program. A lot of great golfers use it, but
Well,
yeah.
This is where if you've noticed over the last 10 years, there's a youth movement on the PGA Tour. I'm not going to take all the credit for it, but like I've worked with 90% of the guys that are under the age of 30 on tour, either directly or through their college program had it. Obviously, I caddied for Zalatoris when he won the Texas Salmon US Junior to kind of kickstart this thing. DeChambeau is the next guy that I worked with right before they won the NCAA's US Amateur. And from there, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's just, again, if you feel like you should have shot lower, what I always tell people is you don't have to use Decade. But if you don't, what's your plan to stop? I never had a plan whenever I was in my 20s playing professionally. I just thought I'd get better and eventually stop doing dumb stuff. But it's not about that. It's about having a plan for improvement to stop doing the dumb stuff.
Like I said, if you want to sign up, Decade.golf, use code Bubby for 20% off.
You know, the one other thing too is if you're a tournament player, I mean, most, junior golfers, college golfers, whatever, aspiring amateurs, they use yardage books to some extent. Those yardage books are $50, $60, $70 a piece. Within the Decade app, you get free yardage books. So you literally just plug in the course, you plug in your tees, you even plug in how long your different tee shot clubs go, and it'll kind of lay out a map for you, and you get those for free within the app. So honestly, if you're a tournament player of any sort, the app really pays for itself.
Yeah, you're getting your money back right there.
It really does pay for itself.
Yeah. But that's what we're going to say about Decade Golf. We're going to show it to y'all through videos and the Break 37s. I'm sure some of the videos you'll be out here with me while I'm filming a Break 37, kind of walking me through golf strategy and course management, everything like that. Very excited about that. But listen, y'all wanted to see me get a lesson and practice. That's what we're going to get back to. I really just wanted to, because I also wanted to learn too, like about Decade Golf and learn more about it and how it works. That's that. Keep hitting drivers. Or should we do?
We can go to hit some chips or some putts.
I'm excited to do some chipping. I like chipping.
I mean, we're just gonna do it right here.
All right, y'all. So we're moving on to the chipping drill here now that Scott's set up. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tees set up, all 2 yards of separation between them.
Well, what these are, it's 5 yards, 7 yards, 9 yards, 11 yards, 13 yards, 15 yards.
Okay.
And so obviously we've got a tee right here to where noting what that spot is. And like what I was telling Bubby is, this will be different for each one of you, but for me, my feel is for 5 yards, it's kind of as soft. I mean, I can hit it softer, but it's kind of as soft of a feel as I can while still hitting an actual golf shot. So that carried, 5 yards and a couple inches. And so once you've kind of got that feel locked in for what 5 yards is, now for me, that's kind of just feels like I'm just flicking with my wrist. So for me then, just a little bit more hand travel is now going to be my 7 yard shot. And again, like that's carried 7 yards and a foot maybe. 9 is just a little bit more than that. And then working all the way up to where now for me, 15 yards, I feel like the club is basically perfectly parallel to the ground. And I'm just dropping it on. I'm not really putting any energy into it. So that carried about 16 yards. Again, within a yard from 15 yards if you've picked a good spot. And then the same idea for me all the way out to 20 is kind of the same place, but now I'm actually trying to hit it. So it's kind of the same place, but I'm actually trying to hit the ball.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Dave Pills had this clock system for like half wedges, but he was more working on like 80, 90 yard shots.
Yeah, because
now we're really just talking about chip shots here.
Yeah, you hear Bryson talk about it all the time when he's on
yeah.
TV talking to his caddies, like just like a 10 o'clock 9 iron,
Yeah.
like that. You hear. So you want me to start at the 5?
But now this is where it's interesting is rather than thinking about that on full shots, I went out and worked with a guy named Derek Dominski, who's Max Homa's instructor. He works with a lot of tour players on short game, and I hadn't had a short game lesson forever. And he watched my motion. He's like, hey, I really don't mind your chipping motion. I'm like, well, that sucks because I'm a terrible chipper. And he's like, well, just carry 1 7 yards for me. And I'm like, well, can you just show me what hole we're going to? Because that's how I used to see it. And he's like, oh, that's your problem. You need to know how to carry it these every 2 yard increments. And like I said, it's been 15 months now since I got that lesson. I've never chipped the ball better. I don't practice because all it takes is kind of honing this 5 yard shot and calibrating that. Okay. And then you've just got a little bit of, increments from there. And this is part of like good practice also is once you do something good, take a second and like feel it. Like what did that feel like to you? You don't have to be able to put it into words, but like.
It just kind of felt, I looked, like you said, I just kind of looked at it
But I'm
and
saying,
figure
like,
out
did
how
you
to
have a
make it-
feel of how long you took the swing or anything at all?
No, every time I get over any kind of shot inside 35, 40 yards, I just, in my mind, all I'm thinking about is seeing what I see Scotty Scheffler do on the TV. It's very simple. It makes sense to me because when I was chipping, I had my stance open. I'm like, it just ain't working for me. So I close it a little bit, get my weight on the left, and I try and feel the club stay outside my hands. And then I just kind of drop it on the ball.
Well, and you know, it's funny. It's actually kind of the opposite of in your full swing, all of this was in your way.
Yeah.
And actually, most people historically have taught an open chip shot, but now all of this is kind
And
of
this
in
gets
your way.
I get my
and it's
stance closed and I'm
it's-
just free.
It's definitely because we're not looking for power here.
No.
So it's actually, that's a more modern idea, especially like in bunker shots.
Yeah.
It's kind of being a little close because it puts the brakes on and allows the club then to
To
sling
underneath.
through, but
Yeah.
you're getting like this right side out of your way.
Because that's all it was. I get here in this stance, this is dropped back, and I just feel like, I don't know.
I would tell you that in your short game practice is just working on whatever way you want to find a feel to
Okay.
carry these different distances and just wear that out.
So go for 7 now?
Yeah. When I was first working on this, I actually did it out here on this range, just because you've got unlimited balls. I just sat over there on the right side and I've got like those Nike sports cones.
Yeah.
And I just put them every 5 yards, 5, 10, 20, 25, 30. And no, just carrying it just past the 5 is 7, just short of the 10 is 9. And I just sat here and just did it for a couple hours.
It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
like-
just,
It's always fun seeing a ball go towards the target. I'll try that 7 again. That's a little deep. All right.
that's great, dude.
Now 9. 11. A little deep.
Yeah, you just carried it 12 yards and you're trying to carry it 11. Like, that's really damn good.
Thank you.
Like, that's good. And it's so funny because now when you get out on the course, again, we'll see how you progress with this. If you do wind up with I get it, you've got your mechanic feel, but if you wind up having a feel where, okay, this is my 5, and then we're just walking it up to 7, because that's actually another thing that I asked Derek was, is it weird to just literally, okay, I want to carry this 15, but to start with, okay, 5, 7, 9, 11, like, and just kind of walk your way up? And he's like, absolutely. Like, and I do believe that, again, I've never chipped it better personally, but you can kind of instinctively get out there and see what your landing spot needs to be.
Yeah.
And then you just pace that off and
Figure it
go
out.
through the motion. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Just, we want to get the easy ones up and down. I don't really care if you can hit a flop shot. We want to get the ball out of the bunker. We don't want to be leaving balls in the bunker. We don't want to be missing greens with chip shots. And again, that alone, I mean, that's out of your 4.4, that's probably a shot or a shot and a half of it by just not hitting bad chip shots.
Yeah. Just
More than
like
hitting
you
great
said,
ones.
Getting better at golf and dropping strokes is more about your misses, about
100%.
minimizing the misses, not so much you have to be able to pull off these amazing shots.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
I don't know. I didn't think I was going to be this good at it. I'll take it though.
What I'll say then is now I've gotten to where, okay, I kind of own these 5 to 15s. And now I'm trying to, again, I think people think because of the business I'm in, I play a lot of golf. I don't play golf at all. But now I'm trying to get a little bit better. So now if I maybe do have a flop shot that I need to carry like 9 yards, I might know it's my 15 swing with a more open face. And again, I'm kind of making this up on the fly, but like, since I'm still just working on it. So now it's like
And that's perfect.
yeah. So it was my 15 swing open face. Same thing would be like if when all of a sudden we start getting the ball in the rough, maybe because of the lie, I need to put my 15 swing on it to carry it 9 yards, but everything else is still the same.
Okay.
And again, this is just tinkering around more with focusing on carry numbers rather than chipping it to an actual hole.
Okay.
That's kind of the point.
Do you want me to try that shot?
Sure, if you want to.
A little deep.
It's okay though. Again, like that would be 15 feet by. That's better
Yeah.
than 15 feet short.
Exactly. Especially with a flop shot.
And I think that's one thing people probably try to do too often is start trying to hit flop shots. If you get yourself into a spot where you're having to hit a flop shot, it's probably more the problem was the second shot than the fact your short game's not very good. Like I'm not really worried about you getting flop shots up and down. I'm worried about you not making double if you're in a spot where you're even considering a flop shot.
Okay.
All right, so if we've got to recap to this point, you're going to block practice your every club through the bag. You're always going to have an alignment stick down.
Yes.
You're going to work on ball position, getting a little bit more open to the target, getting the ball a little bit further up in your stance. But what we really want to be doing in practice is getting our setup position just nailed. That's half the battle to good golf. Chip shots, we want to focus more on our carry distances. And then with putting, I'm not going to say that speed is the only thing that matters, but like it's the only thing that matters. And most people, when they work on their putting, they just go work on their stroke. It's like, dude, the tempo of your putting stroke, the just focusing on distance control, like that's how you're going to avoid the 3-putts. You don't avoid 3-putts by being great from 5 feet. You avoid 3-putts by not having 5-footers in the first place.
Yes. All right, y'all, that's going to be a wrap to the video. Big thank you to Scott for coming out here and joining us and giving me, honestly, the first lesson I've had, especially working in this facet of the game, in years, in a long time. So thank you for that, Scott. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're going to see him in a lot of future content, whether it be he's going to be out here helping me out with break 37s or break 74s, taking me through golf strategy and course management as well. We have the other facets of the game coming up where he's going to be giving me a putting lesson based more upon like drills to do to figure out speed. Like you heard him say, speed's the most important thing when it comes to putting. I'm excited to try and get better at this game. I'm getting there believing, you believe more than me right now that I can get the scratch.
Like, I just think you just improved a couple shots. I mean, honestly, like just that ball position and understanding how to practice, how to work on chipping, like there's no doubt in my mind you're going to be good.
I appreciate that, but yes, if you guys want to follow along, like we said over on the Decade Golf app, we're going to have the Bubby leaderboard with the Tiger 5. You guys can compare everything to that. If you're interested in checking it out, go check out decade.golf and use code Bubby when you sign up for 20% off. I'm excited to see it help my game. I'm sure it'll help y'all's as well if you want to get better and beat your buddies and get some strokes off your score. But yeah, again, big thank you to Scott. It's going to be a wrap to the video. Hope y'all having a blessed day. Much love, y'all. Peace.